Welcome back to another Code Peterson tutorial. We have part two of our shoot 'em up series with GB Studio, making our little flying game where we are going to be shooting items off the screen and kind of some classic arcade action. And last time we created our game, we imported our graphics, we even added a little parallax scrolling, and now we're ready to start adding enemies into our game. Now, we already did add the image sprites in part one of this series. So for this one, we just need to bring those items into the game itself. There's a couple ways you can do that. One of the better ways for this is something that is called a prefab. And this is in the newer versions of GB Studios. You'll see over here, there's this prefabs section in the bottom left-hand side. And we have um, actors and triggers that we can do this for. I'm going to go with add a prefab, and then it asks me which I want, and I want this to be an actor. And you'll see over here in the right hand side, we have these options that we can do with this. So one of them, I'm going to say for this one here, if I click the drop down, this is going to be an elf. And actually, we're going to use the same elf for a few different options so I can kind of show you how these work in different ways. You might want to have, like with your arcade game in a shoot 'em up, different looks depending on how they're going to be moving. It's kind of up to you, but for this, for our demonstration and making it a little easier on us, I'm just using one enemy sprite for this. Okay, this elf is going to have a collision group, which is going to be 1, and I'll just have all of my enemies be a collision group of 1. And then on hit with the player, I'm going to add an event, and then I'm going to change scene, and we will go back to scene 1. And that's going to mean, like, if you want, you could have it set up to where it moves you back to where you were, or if you want a health count. But we're just going to say this game here, it takes us back to the beginning. And if you want to see like ways where to incorporate health bars or multiple lives, I do have a number of those tutorials on this channel. You can use that search function and find kind of whatever you want. Or if you have a question specifically, on how you want to do any of those things, just ask it in the comments, and then I can certainly add it to this series of tutorials for the shoot 'em up, and we can address those at that time too. Whichever works best for you all works best for me. So here we have that when it collides with the player, which is us, it's going to restart the game on this particular level. The other thing I want to do is I want this elf to be moving a little bit. So for this, we can go over here to update, and then I'm going to add an event, and I want to search for actor move relative. And this works really good with the shoot 'em up because relative, if we are controlling where the scrolling of the level goes, and we leave that enemy on the screen and we come back, it's going to continue that moving from its last point where it was moving prior. And sometimes you get some unwanted effects where that character kind of moves off the screen or does something you don't want it to. In this type of game, where when we get past a certain point, we don't ever see that enemy again, it's not a big deal because we can't go back to it anyway, so it's not going to cause us any problems. So moving relative is by moving where this enemy is currently at. So the first one here, I'll go with Y. I'm going to just have this enemy here hovering up and down. So we'll start saying that, that it'll move with a Y of 1. And then we can copy this event, and then we can paste event after, and then we can say we want this to have a Y of -1. So because this is on update, it's going to do this first step. It's going to move 1, and then it's going to move to a -1. So it'll move 1, -1, 1, -1. It'll just continue doing that forever. All right, now if we go over here to this actor and we click the little plus, it asks us where we want this to be. So let's go ahead and start putting this actor right here at the beginning of our level. Play. And there's that enemy that is moving up and down. Now that's moving a little bit faster than what I want. Click on here on our prefab, and up here where it says movement speed and animation speed, we can actually change this to be a quarter of the speed. Let's see how that looks. All right, that looks a little bit better. Just a more subtle movement there on that. We crash into there, you'll see it takes us back to the beginning and things are not moving as they should be. So what we can do to fix that, we need to look at our value here for the starting point, and that is at 3.8. That is something we need to do. Player, so yeah, we'll go 3.8. And then we also to have the direction be right. Okay, now let's try this and see how that works. There we go, and everything works as it should now. Perfect. All right, once we have that on there and that one is done, then we can just add another one on here. And you just add plus and it works just as easy as that. That is pretty awesome. Now, the other thing I wanted to do is show you other ways you could have your enemies move. So let's go here and let's add another prefab. Okay, this one is going to be an elf. And this one, same thing, we'll give it a speed of 1/4. And we can say collision group of 1. And when it collides with the player, let's look over here at our actor 1 for this. And on collision with player, I'm going to copy the event, go in here, and I can replace script, and it adds that. Don't have to remember those values. That'll be nice. And then if we go on update for this one, we can add a little bit of more unpredictability to where this one is moving from. So let's go here, and we will use relative again. Let's go actor move relative. And then I'm going to copy this event, and then I'm going to paste the event after and paste the event after. So I have like 3 of these on here. And that last one we did, we were changing the vertical, and we didn't really have to worry about if we wanted to go horizontal first, vertical first, diagonal. So basically, if you want this to go from point A to point B, you can actually have it go in angles and not just go over and down. So let's try diagonal for these. And this one here, we'll say like X is going to be 5 and Y is going to be 0. Then the second one we could say is going to be 5. And this one here, we'll have it be 5. So the last one will be -5. I like that. We'll add this little plus. Let's put this one up here. See how this looks. Turkey here. Right now, it wasn't moving quite fast enough. So let's actually increase the speed of this one. Let's go back to 1 and see how that looks. It's not too bad. Let's maybe try one other thing. Let's go instead of 5. Try that out and see how that works for us. Add, and then now with that going, what happens if we that speed to 1/2? It's always a little bit of trial and error when you're working with these enemies on here. Now, one of the other things I can do is if I notice maybe my character is just moving a little fast on this game, we can actually go up here to this drop down menu, and then we can go to settings, and then we can adjust any of these settings for this game. Now, if we go here to the shoot 'em up, we have scroll speed of 16. What if we try turning that down here to 8? See what happens with this. This might be a little too slow on here. That's not bad at all. Can go back here to game world. And let's try order speed. We adjust this. Time on here. Just not quite getting it the speed that I want it to be on there. That speed one more time. Let's go back to, let's try 2. A little too fast on there. Let's go 1 last time. There we go. I was trying to see if we could get it to go through that animation 2 times before it left the screen. And let's make sure if we collide with that enemy, takes us back to the beginning. Perfect. All right, we have that enemy on there now. Put these two right here. So with this one here, this one kind of moves down, and that's why I positioned it up towards the top here. Now if we add another one of these, it's an actor, and this is going to be another elf, a collision group of 1, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. So on it, I'm going to copy that script, and then I'm going to go down to actor 3, and you have to make sure you select them down here. This will be a lot easier for you if you're newer to this, like where I'm used to not having prefabs because I've used GB Studio enough prior to that. Sometimes I'll click on them here and then I'll run into some trouble where I'm editing one I shouldn't be editing. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Every time we're making a change, we want to make the changes down here. So that way it automatically changes them up here to all of these, if that makes sense. So actor 3, then we can paste or replace that script in there. And then the other thing I wanted to do was on update, I want to copy that script here, and then I want to replace the script. Awesome. And here we can say, we can leave that keep running while off screen unchecked because that's going to save us some memory of things going on in our game, which is good. Now this one that I'm going to be adding, I want this one to be moving a little bit different. So instead of this one moving here to 5, 5, I think I want this one to go to 5, -5. All right, and then I can add this one, and I'll put this one here down at the bottom. Something like that. See what happens. So here's an enemy here. That one moves there, good. Move up. Right, and then we can more time and make sure when we collide with it that it takes us back to the beginning. Yep, perfect. Awesome. Then maybe here at the very end, we can put do 2 like right here. And then we can put an actor 3 right here. It is just moving just a little fast on there. Nice. So we get that little trickiness there. at the end trying to get that character found. That's good. And that gets us to another stopping point on this. So we've added enemies with custom movement, and we've kind of fine-tuned those to where they add some challenge and give us some things to have to worry about. And then we have it to where when we collide with them, it takes us to the beginning. In our next tutorial, we're going to have something where we can pick up like a power up and then be able to fire uh, power ups at enemies to take them off the screen to kind of go to that next logical step for this. So if you have any other suggestions you want, certainly leave those in the comments and we can keep those going with this. Like and subscribe if you want more content on GB Studios. I appreciate you all taking time to watch, and we will catch you on another video down the road.